пацаны!
Newly released footage from Ukrainian Marines captures Russian soldiers laying down their weapons and surrendering en masse after a brutal close-quarters fight. In a lightning assault, a concealed enemy hideout was stormed, 5 Russian troops were killed, and 10 more were forced to submit. Ukrainian Marines release footage of mass Russian surrender after close-quarters battle. Ukrainian Marines have released video evidence showing a group of Russian soldiers surrendering after an intense close-quarters clash during the clearing of the village of Ivanivka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. The operation was carried out by the 37th Separate Marine Brigade, which confirmed the capture on December 11th through its official social media channels. According to the brigade, the Russian troops were discovered during search and assault operations inside the settlement. The released footage shows the captured soldiers shortly after they were detained, underscoring the speed and decisiveness of the engagement. The Marines reported that the surrender occurred after Ukrainian forces stormed a concealed Russian hideout within the village. In total, 10 soldiers from Russia's 228th Assault Regiment of the 91st Tank Division surrendered their weapons. 5 additional Russian troops were killed during the firefight that followed the assault, highlighting the intensity of the close-range combat. The 37th Marine Brigade stated that, as of December 10th, Ukrainian defense forces have full control of Ivanivka. While the surrounding approaches and terrain remain contested, Ukrainian units maintain fire control over the area, limiting Russian movement and reinforcing Kyiv's hold on the village. This incident follows an earlier engagement in the same region, where 2 soldiers from Ukraine's 67th Separate Mechanized Brigade successfully captured 6 Russian troops. Together, these episodes point to mounting pressure on Russian units and growing Ukrainian effectiveness in small unit assaults and close combat operations on this sector of the front. Another loss in Crimea, Russian, and 26 destroyed in a drone strike. Reports from Crimea indicate that a Russian An-26 military transport aircraft was destroyed in a Ukrainian drone strike while parked on the ground at the Kacha airbase near Sevastopol. Multiple Ukrainian and Russian telegram channels have confirmed the incident, describing it as another serious blow to Russia's aviation infrastructure on the occupied peninsula. Crimea has increasingly become a target of Ukrainian precision attacks, and this strike fits a clear pattern of sustained pressure on Russian military assets. According to early information, the An-26 was hit by a Ukrainian drone during a coordinated operation aimed at assets located at one of Russia's key military facilities in Crimea. While official details remain limited, the circumstances suggest a deliberate attempt to degrade logistics and air support capabilities rather than a random or isolated attack. Telegram channels reporting from the scene claim there were casualties among Russian personnel. Those killed or wounded are believed to include members of the aircraft's crew or ground service staff who were near the plane at the moment of the explosion. If confirmed, this would further underline the operational cost of maintaining exposed air assets at frontline adjacent bases. The An-26 is a twin-engine turboprop aircraft widely used by Russia for logistics, troop transport, and various support roles. Its destruction at a base close to active combat zones adds strain to Moscow's already weakened ability to move personnel and equipment across occupied territories. Each such loss reduces flexibility and increases the burden on remaining transport and supply networks. The attack was also acknowledged by the Atesh partisan movement, which stated that it helped support the operation. Members of the resistance group said they provided intelligence and other assistance to Ukrainian forces, highlighting the growing role of local networks in enabling successful strikes deep inside occupied areas. Russia throws its main reserve into Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad, still pays in time and blood. The main Russian reserve in Donbass has been deployed. The entire 76th Division, an elite air assault unit. And that's exactly who we are grinding down now at an impressive pace. In one day, one enemy battalion was wiped out. This blunt assessment by Ukrainian commander Robert Magyar captures the intensity of the fighting now centered on Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad, where Russia has committed some of its most capable remaining forces. Russian forces have not captured Pokrovsk, but the fighting in the Pokrovsk-Myrnohrad area has escalated into one of the most brutal battles in months. The sector has become the most active and costly stretch of the front line. Moscow is concentrating troops here in an effort to break Ukrainian defenses around a critical logistics hub, relying on heavy airstrikes and armored assaults to strain Ukrainian supply lines. Ukrainian officials describe this axis as the main focus of Russia's current offensive in Donetsk Oblast. Assessments indicate that Russia may eventually seize Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad, but only after prolonged fighting and at the cost of mounting casualties and lost time. Despite Russian advances, open-source evidence shows Ukrainian forces continuing to operate along the Donetsk Railway in northwestern Pokrovsk and parts of northwestern Myrnohrad. Geolocated footage from December 9th confirms that some of these positions have been held, while others were recently retaken. At the same time, Russian troops are pushing towards central and western Myrnohrad, maintaining constant pressure on Ukrainian logistics. A spokesperson for a Ukrainian brigade reported that Russian forces are striking the city from multiple directions and using frequent air attacks to disrupt troop rotations, forcing Ukrainian units to plan every movement with extreme caution. Russian forces continue to deploy armored vehicles around Pokrovsk despite earlier setbacks. Ukraine's 7th Rapid Reaction Corps reported that elements of Russia's 76th Airborne Division exploited poor weather to launch a mechanized assault from the southern toward the northern parts of the city. Additional footage from December 10th shows a platoon-level attack in western Pokrovsk. These operations suggest that Russia has managed to move some vehicles back into the area even after Ukrainian strikes in mid-November severely disrupted mechanized activity. Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky confirmed on December 10th that Ukrainian troops remain in northern Pokrovsk, while acknowledging they had not been present there at an earlier point. His remarks point to limited Ukrainian counterattacks and regained ground. He also confirmed withdrawals from Suky Yar, Lysivka and Novopavlivka south and southeast of the city. As Moscow claimed the capture of Pokrovsk, Ukrainian assault troops from the Skelia Regiment released video footage showing the Ukrainian national flag being raised in the center of the city. Published on December 11th, the footage directly challenged Russian assertions and demonstrated that intense urban combat is still ongoing. Ukraine's 7th Rapid Reaction Corps said the flag raising was meant to show the world that, despite Kremlin claims of having taken the city, Ukraine is still fighting, will continue to fight, and will not surrender its territory. Earlier in the week, the unit reported repelling what it described as the largest Russian mechanized assault inside Pokrovsk so far, involving armored vehicles, cars, and motorcycles attempting to break through from south to north before being driven back in bad weather. The symbolic act followed statements by Russian leader Vladimir Putin and Chief of the General Staff Valery Gerasimov claiming full control of Pokrovsk and nearby towns, framing them as major battlefield successes. Ukraine's military rejected these claims, insisting the cities remain under Ukrainian control and labeling the announcements part of a broader disinformation campaign. In Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad, the reality on the ground is stark. Russia may advance, but every step forward comes at a steep cost in manpower and time, while Ukrainian forces continue to hold, counterattack where possible, and systematically undermine the Kremlin's narrative of victory. Journalists reveal the Secret Service guarding Putin's nuclear suitcase. Investigative journalists have uncovered the identities of officers serving in the little-known Service K, the unit responsible for guarding the specially equipped briefcase used to authorize the use of nuclear weapons in Russia. According to an investigation by the Dossier Project, reporters obtained internal documents that allowed them to identify 53 individuals currently or recently associated with this highly secretive service. Among those identified are dozens of captains and colonels, as well as one major general. One detail stands out in particular. At least one of the officers guarding the nuclear suitcase previously served aboard the cruiser Moskva, which was later sunk by Ukraine. Service K is so secretive that its name appears only a handful of times in open sources, yet its officers accompany the Russian president, the Minister of Defense, and the Chief of the General Staff at all times. Despite the extraordinary responsibility they carry, these officers receive salaries comparable to those of ordinary contract soldiers. Because they have access to top-secret materials, they typically vacation inside Russia, yet many remain active on social media. In one case, journalists found that an officer's sister holds US citizenship. The letter K in Service K is widely believed to refer to Kazbek, the automated command and control system for Russia's strategic nuclear forces. Its most well-known component is the Cheget terminal, commonly called the nuclear suitcase. In the event of an attack, early warning systems detect missile launches or explosions on Russian territory and transmit a missile attack signal. This activates Kazbek and shifts the system from standby to combat mode. At that point, the president uses the Cheget terminal to communicate with the Minister of Defense and the Chief of the General Staff, each of whom also has a nuclear suitcase, as well as with the National Defense Control Center. A preliminary command activates all nuclear forces. Only after this process can an actual launch order be issued. Dossier identified 53 people linked to Service K since at least 2021 by combining facial recognition, leaked data, open source information, and internal documents obtained from a source. These materials included personal questionnaires, security clearance renewal requests, duty schedules compiled after the start of the war in Ukraine, travel documents, and other internal records. Among those identified were several Navy officers, including Captain's First Rank Stanislav Gromov, Yevgeny Shikov, and Dmitry Shumayko. In the Russian military hierarchy, Captain's First Rank are equivalent to Army colonels. In total, the list includes 3 Captain's First Rank, 35 colonels, 14 servicemen of unknown rank who are likely also colonels or Captain's First Rank, and 1 Major General. Colonel Andrei Zhuravlev serves as the immediate commander of Military Unit 26299. He previously performed combat duty himself and accompanied Vladimir Putin during a visit to Japan in December 2016. The remaining officers serve as operational staff, organized into groups of around 10, each with its own superior. Journalists were able to identify two such group leaders, Sergei Vitoshkin and Sergei Kapersky. Duty rotations typically last 2 consecutive days, and operators are not permanently assigned to a single official. The same officer may accompany the president at one time and the Minister of Defense at another. Captain Yevgeny Shikov's career path is among the most unusual. He began his service in the Black Sea Fleet, commanding a missile battery aboard the cruiser Moskva, which took part in the seizure of Zminy Island in February 2022, before being sunk 2 months later. By that time, however, Shikov had already left the Navy. For more than 14 years, he served as part of the crew of the IL-80 Airborne Command Post of the General Staff, often referred to as the Doomsday Plane, designed to control military forces, including nuclear units. In 2014, Shikov received a medal for the occupation of Crimea. In 2017, he was transferred again and began carrying a nuclear suitcase while accompanying the Russian president on official trips. Despite their unique experience and the immense responsibility of their mission, Service K officers earn roughly the same as other military contractors. Before the war, monthly salaries did not exceed 140,000 to 150,000 rubles. After the invasion of Ukraine began, pay increased. Documents reviewed by Dossier indicate that at least one non-command serviceman now receives up to 260,000 rubles per month, a modest sum considering the role these officers play in controlling the most destructive weapons on Earth.